During World War II, families burned everything they could find to stay warm. First, the coal ran out. Rationed. Never enough. Government said there was a shortage. Government said to make do. So they burned firewood until the firewood was gone. Then they burned furniture. Chairs first, then tables, then bed frames. Then they burned books, photo albums, children's toys, anything that would catch fire. In Berlin, families tore up their own floorboards. In London, mothers ripped apart wooden crates scavenged from bomb sites. In rural France, people stripped forests so bare that some hillsides did not recover for decades. And still, people froze. Not because heat was impossible, but because they did not know the tricks. Across Europe, a small number of families survived those winters without burning their homes piece by piece. They stayed warm using methods that required almost no fuel, techniques passed down from grandparents, strategies invented by soldiers on frozen battlefields, secrets that most people never learned. Those families did not just survive. They stayed comfortable while their neighbors froze. Today, I am going to show you exactly what they knew. 9 World War II heating methods that work without electricity, without gas, and with almost no fuel at all. These tricks saved lives 80 years ago. They could save yours tonight. Number 1, the one-room strategy. The first and most important technique was brutally simple. Stop heating your whole house, pick one room, and abandon everything else. During World War II, fuel rationing forced families to make hard choices. Coal allocations were never enough. A typical British family might receive only enough coal to heat one room for a few hours each day. So they adapted. Families chose the smallest room in the house, usually the kitchen because it had the stove. They moved mattresses onto the floor, they brought in chairs from other rooms, and they sealed everything else off. Heavy blankets hung over doorways, rags stuffed under doors, newspaper crammed into every gap and crack. The entire family lived in that single room. They cooked there, ate there, worked there, slept there. Sometimes for months at a time. And this strategy cut fuel consumption by 60 to 80%. Instead of heating 8 rooms, you heat 1. Instead of warming empty space, you warm bodies. But it did something else too. It pooled body heat. Every human body generates roughly 100 watts of heat. Put 5 people in a small sealed room, and you have 500 watts of continuous heating. That is not nothing. On the coldest nights, body heat alone could mean the difference between survival and hypothermia. Modern emergency preparedness experts still recommend this exact strategy. If your heating fails, do not try to heat your whole house with space heaters or fireplaces. Pick your smallest interior room, seal it, move everyone in, and let combined body heat do most of the work. The families of World War II figured this out through desperation. You can learn it without the suffering. Number 2, the hot brick bed warmer. The second technique solved a specific problem, getting into a freezing cold bed. During World War II, bedrooms were almost never heated. Families conserved every scrap of fuel for the main living area. This meant climbing into ice-cold sheets every single night. The solution was ancient but effective. The hot brick bed warmer. Here is how it worked. Families kept a brick or large stone near the fire. Some used the oven if they had one. They let it heat for several hours until it was thoroughly hot but not dangerously so. Then they wrapped it in old towels, rags, or cloth, and they placed it under the blankets at the foot of the bed, usually about 30 minutes before sleep. The brick acted as a thermal mass. It absorbed heat slowly and released it slowly. By bedtime, the sheets were warm, and the brick continued radiating gentle heat for 6 to 8 hours. Grandmothers called it the poor man's hot water bottle. It cost nothing. It required no special equipment, and it worked remarkably well. You can do the same thing today. If you have a working oven or fireplace, heat a brick wrapped in aluminum foil. Let it warm for 2 to 3 hours. Wrap it in thick towels. Place it in your bed before you climb in. The warmth is surprising. And on a freezing night with no power, it could keep you comfortable until morning. Number 3, newspaper insulation. The third technique addressed heat loss, specifically the heat escaping through walls, windows, and cracks. Many World War II-era homes were poorly insulated by modern standards. Single-pane windows, thin walls, gaps around doors. Cold air seeped in constantly. Fuel was too precious to waste heating air that leaked outside. So families got creative. They used newspaper. Families pasted newspapers directly onto walls using homemade flour and water paste. They applied layer after layer, sometimes 5 or 6 sheets thick. The result looked terrible, but it worked. Why? Because air is an excellent insulator, but only when it is trapped and cannot move. Multiple layers of newspaper create thousands of tiny air pockets. Those pockets trap heat and slow its escape through walls. Families also stuffed crumpled newspaper into gaps around windows. They pushed wadded paper into cracks along baseboards. They taped newspaper over single-pane windows to create an extra barrier. Some families layered newspaper between blankets for extra warmth at night. Others stuffed it inside their clothing when going outside. The principle is simple. Trapped air insulates. Newspaper traps air. If you find yourself without power in a freezing house, do the same thing. Stuff newspaper into every gap around windows and doors. Tape layers of newspaper over windows. Use crumpled newspaper to fill cracks and openings. It is ugly. It looks desperate. But ugly and alive beats beautiful and frozen. World War II families had no shame about it. Neither should you. Number 4, layered indoor clothing. The fourth technique was so obvious that modern people forget it entirely. Dress like you are going outside. Even when you are inside, World War II families did not heat their homes to modern comfort levels. They could not afford to. Instead of heating the building, they heated themselves. This meant wearing wool base layers at all times. Multiple shirts, heavy sweaters, thick socks, hats indoors, gloves with the fingertips cut off so they could still work. The phrase they used was simple. Heat the person, not the building. This remains the most efficient approach to staying warm when fuel is limited. Your body generates heat constantly. Your job is to trap that heat close to your skin. Layering matters. The base layer should be wool or synthetic material that wicks moisture away from your skin. Wet skin loses heat rapidly. The middle layer should be insulating. A heavy sweater, fleece, or wool vest. The outer layer traps everything in. Keep your head covered. The old saying that you lose most heat through your head is exaggerated, but you do lose significant warmth from your scalp. Keep your feet warm. Cold feet make your entire body feel cold. Wool socks and insulated slippers make an enormous difference. And never sit still for too long. Movement generates body heat. World War II families kept moving, kept working, kept active. Get up and move every 30 minutes, at minimum. Number 5, the Benghazi burner. The fifth technique comes from the battlefield, but civilians adapted it too. The Benghazi burner. This improvised stove was invented by British soldiers in the North African campaign. It gets its name from Benghazi, Libya, where troops from the 8th Army first used it widely. Here's how it worked. Soldiers took any metal container, a biscuit tin, an empty oil can, even a cut-down jerry can. They filled it about halfway with sand or dirt. Then they poured in petrol, kerosene, or whatever fuel they could find. The sand acted as a wick and a buffer. It absorbed the fuel and released it slowly. When lit, the flame burned low, steady, and relatively smokeless. This was critical in combat. Smoke and visible flames could reveal your position to enemy aircraft. The Benghazi burner provided heat and cooking ability without giving away your location. Soldiers used it to brew tea, heat rations, and warm themselves on freezing desert nights. Yes, deserts get extremely cold at night. When soldiers came home on leave, they brought the technique with them. Civilians adapted it for home use, especially in areas where conventional fuel was impossible to find. You can adapt this for modern emergencies. Use a metal coffee can or paint can. Fill it halfway with sand. Pour in rubbing alcohol or lamp oil. Petrol is too dangerous for indoor adjacent use. Place it on a non-flammable surface. Light it carefully. And you have a low-cost heat and cooking source that burns for hours. One critical warning: any open flame produces carbon monoxide. Use adequate ventilation. Never seal yourself in a room with any combustion device. Number 6. The tin can trench heater. The 6 technique also comes from soldiers, but it used even less. The tin can trench heater. This was the ultimate improvised stove. Soldiers in World War I invented it. Soldiers in World War II perfected it. And civilians copied it when fuel became impossible to find. Here is the design. Take any empty food can, the larger the better. Punch holes around the bottom edge for airflow. Punch holes around the top edge for exhaust. Fill the center with any burnable material: scraps of wood, cardboard, dry leaves, cloth soaked in oil, twigs, anything. The holes create a draft. Air flows in from the bottom, feeds the fire, and heat radiates from the metal walls. Some people stacked 2 cans. The bottom can held the fire. The top can served as a cooking surface, or amplified the radiant heat. And this design required almost nothing. Empty cans were everywhere. And the principle works with any metal container. You can build this in minutes today. Use a large coffee can and a church key can opener. Punch triangular holes around the base. Punch smaller holes around the top rim. Fill with tightly rolled newspaper, cardboard, or small sticks. Light from the bottom. You now have a functional heater and camp stove made from garbage. Number 7, body heat huddle. The 7th technique requires no equipment at all. Just people. The body heat huddle. During the coldest nights of World War II, when all fuel was gone and all other options exhausted, families did what humans have done for thousands of years. They slept together. Not in separate beds, not in separate rooms. Together. Parents, children, grandparents, all piled under every blanket in the house, sharing body heat through the night. This was not comfortable. It was not private, but it was effective. Remember, each human body produces about 100 watts of heat. A family of 5 generates 500 watts continuously, under heavy blankets in an enclosed space that heat accumulates. Families positioned the most vulnerable in the warmest spots. Infants and elderly in the middle. Healthy adults on the outside edges. Soldiers did the same thing in the field. When fuel ran out and temperatures dropped, they huddled together for survival. Pride and personal space meant nothing compared to not freezing to death. If you ever face a true heating emergency, remember this. Humans are heaters. Group together. Share blankets. Combine warmth. It is not dignified. But dignity does not keep you alive. Number 8, hot foods and drinks. The 8th technique warmed from the inside out. Hot foods and hot drinks. World War II families understood something modern people often forget. Warmth does not only come from outside your body, it can come from inside too. When fuel was scarce, families prioritized one thing above all else: hot meals. A bowl of hot oatmeal in the morning raised core body temperature for hours. A cup of hot tea provided warmth that no blanket could match. Hot soup at dinner meant going to bed with internal heat already built up. Families cooked oatmeal overnight in double boilers. They made massive pots of soup that lasted for days. They drank hot water with a splash of vinegar or honey when tea and coffee were unavailable. The goal was simple: put heat inside your body. Let your body distribute it. This is still one of the most effective ways to stay warm in an emergency. Stock instant oatmeal, soup packets, tea bags, and hot chocolate. If you have any way to heat water, use it to warm yourself from the inside. A thermos of hot liquid can provide warmth for hours. Fill it before bed. Drink throughout the night if you wake up cold. Your body is the best heating system you own. Feed it heat. It will keep you alive. Number 9. Window coverings and draft blockers. The 9th and final technique stopped heat from escaping in the first place. Heavy window coverings and draft blockers. Windows are the weakest point in any home's insulation. During World War II, most windows were single-pane glass. They leaked heat constantly. Families fought back with layers. Heavy curtains were the first line of defense. Thick wool blankets hung over windows. Quilts, rugs, anything heavy and dense. The goal was to create a dead air space between the window and the room. Moving air carries heat away. Trapped air holds it. Families opened curtains during the day to capture whatever solar heat the sun provided. Then they closed everything tightly at sunset, trapping that warmth inside. Draft blockers handled the gaps. Rolled up towels along windowsills. Stuffed fabric tubes along the bottom of doors. Rags crammed into every crack and opening. Modern studies confirm this approach. Heavy curtains can reduce heat loss through windows by 10%. Properly insulated window coverings can achieve 40% reduction or more. If you face a heating emergency, cover every window with the heaviest material you have. Blankets, sleeping bags, even cardboard is better than bare glass. Block every draft. Roll up towels for door bottoms. Stuff rags into gaps. Every bit of heat you keep inside is heat you do not have to generate again. These 9 techniques kept millions of families alive through the coldest winters of the 20th century. The one-room strategy, the hot brick bed warmer, newspaper insulation, layered indoor clothing, the Benghazi burner, the tin can trench heater, the body heat huddle, hot foods and drinks, and window coverings with draft blockers. None of them required electricity. None of them required expensive equipment. Most of them required nothing more than common sense and the will to survive. World War II families did not have modern conveniences. They did not have backup generators or emergency services that arrived in minutes. They had only themselves, their knowledge, and their determination. When the fuel ran out, they adapted. When the easy options disappeared, they invented. When survival demanded sacrifice, they made it. And the lessons they learned are not historical curiosities. They are survival instructions, written in frozen suffering. Power grids fail. Gas lines freeze. Heating systems break. Emergencies happen. When they happen to you, remember what World War II families already proved. You can survive winter with almost no fuel. You just have to know how. Stay warm, stay prepared, and never forget what your grandparents already knew.